Either you're working on a product, whether you're working on a mobile app or any of sort of things, you kind of explain things in plain English and keep on doing and iterating, right? So it's not really magic, it's a conversation, right? Sometimes you're like, hey, there are times that you feel like, oh, AI actually read my mind. This is what I wanted, but I said very little of it, and then it actually gave us what I was actually thinking about, right? So I think that happens not just with building products, but sometimes even telling my ChatGPT, right? There's a pretty cool framework that you can actually follow if you're in this direction too. So which is more of like, it is fast tasks that took like a long time. Now you can actually do that in minutes. And I think I love the second part. Projects once like not worth building, not worth my time, becomes the weekend project. But it also means, because if we can do it so little time, you all can trade it, right? And then work on the second one. It's just like, I'm pretty sure if you go through your ChatGPT thread, on the left side, there will be so many stuff that you started, halfway there, you're like, okay, I'll just start on a new idea every weekend, right? So of course, pretty ambitious and autonomous, so one person can do full work of a small team. And I think this is so good where, in some cases, this is the best, where if you have more than one person doing vibe coding, this is going to be a disaster. Because imagine like you're building at the speed of like a fast train going, and then you now have to share the context with somebody else. By the time you've explained the things, the product or where it is at must be changed a few times. So it's very hard for a second person to really catch up and kind of iterate with you. So autonomous, I think this is one of the, like, if you're working on a thing where you want to build it fast, I don't think you can actually have more than many people around. Maybe you can delegate tasks, but in terms of vibing, it's very hard to vibe with many people. And then the tedious part disappears, the creative part remains. Like, you don't want to write the code, but you want to make it look functional and make it look cool, beautiful. That you get that part, and then you don't have to worry about the bugs. What do you say? Just fix it, and then they will give you help fix the bugs. Probably not the way that you want it. Probably it fixed that bug, introducing 5 more bugs, but it fixed that bug anyways, right? So and the cost of trying is low, right? So you can run parallel experiments. I know folks who has ChatGPT and Cloud Code and open code to like many of these projects, including with Journey to Nano Banana Pro and the fast one. I don't know, like all of them, right? So, and here's a very interesting thing that we've learned, that previously you might not go and spend, let's say, $10 or $15 or $25 to try something. You're very sure that I want to pay for this one and then I'll pay for it. But now, folks just put in money in order to even try, right? Which is a very interesting shift in software building that is happening. So the second world. So now you do the wipe, and you can also do the AI slot, right? Anyone knows what this means? I'm just waiting for somebody from the audience to say something. At least I don't feel like I'm talking to a screen anymore. Come on, Charlotte, Gina, say something.
Somebody say something. Just wave your hand or something. Really wanted the dungeon all my...
Okay, so what is AI slope again? Can somebody facilitate? Okay, fine. At least I see some human movements. Oh, hey, Teresa.
Hello.
Oh.
Okay, so I can bring this. Oh, okay. What is AI slog? Can you hear? Is it AI?
Yeah, jump. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, not bad. Okay, cool. So one is junk. Yeah, and then misleading. I think both are true, unrelated, right? And junk is, I think that's the best word that you can actually explain slop. Junk can be anything, right? So AI slop. So it's low quality, very generic, so less output that obviously is AI generated. You can pretty much think that this text was also AI slop generated from this giveaway. Yeah, so we see a lot of this, right? Both in text design, coding, application. Can people generate stuff without AI? Yes, but I think AI kind of enhances human capabilities to do and build and shape your junk at a record level and a speed. If you can do junk within a day or an hour, you would rather do that rather than spending a month on a junk, right? So, but this is very easy to do, like I say, going back to if you do, let's say, by coding here, right? It is fast. You can do ambitious stuff, autonomous, fine. And that means that can result in slop pretty easy, right? Because, and what differentiates everything from that, like we'll go about it, but an example is a landing page that looks like a regular landing page. Watch out for purple and blue sort of faded. Wait, am I talking about the SparkUp logo? Probably not. But the background color there, is it AI generated? Why is there so much purple in there? Right? So, okay, I'll ignore that part. Don't look for those two colors, that's like too common. And then, of course, copy. I think we all know sort of like GPT generated copies, right? So, and more of like a mobile app that, let's say, that feels like templated and stock illustrations with, I don't know, like, I think by now we all are kind of like trying to see AI slop. At least 80% of them we know what they are. So I don't think I need to go through that, but how to avoid it, right? And I think like this is what changes, but like this comes with more of like a taste and intent of what you're trying to do. Let's say instead of, let's say I make a donation or a donation app for Bolivians, like give specific details in order to do that. References, screenshots, prints, and then all of those. And I'm pretty sure like on the marketing session, you will hear Jessica talking about this, but, and then kind of like, first output is a draft, right? Like you have to like go through multiple times in order to really see what is good. And I think we used to say this in design. If you, like, a good designer is somebody who says no to 1,000,000 times and yes to one. That means they have gone through so many bad design in order to appreciate a good design. In order to say, hey, this is a good design, they have gone through so many bad ones. And that also comes from this kind of like iteration of back and forth working with AIs and others to get what you are really looking for. Because the most interesting thing is we don't know what we don't know. So how do you actually ask for it? Is kind of pushing through a topic and then see, is there anything that I can do or the AI can do to make it better, and why and how, right? So, and of course, apply your taste, right? This is what makes a whole difference from slop to, I mean, if your taste is slop, then I'm so sorry. I don't think AI can help with it. But that taste comes from looking at a lot of things that are great and then understanding why they're great, and then go through it. Oh, so the number one thing that separates a great AI user from an average one. I need an answer from audience for this one. One word, okay? Let's hear it.
Okay, who wants to say that one word? Context.
Okay, context.
Another word? Relatability. Oh, this one. Maybe another word while he's voting. Reliability.
Specific.
Oh, specificity. Okay. Relatability. Oh, okay, perfect. Hello? Okay, it's okay. The word is specificity.
Oh, well, I think this is
You know what
this
I
is
mean?
fun.
Hello?
Let me just go with this. Context. Actually, I made it for another 20 minutes, I think.
Hello?
The one thing that separates a great AI user from an Android one is definitely context, right? And because we have the same tool, same AI models, but why do some people get a way better output than we do is because of that context. And this is not like the whole, programmers might think that, hey, the context is contracted and it's not taking over the next one. So I'm thinking this from a very generic point of view of building. What differentiates a great AI user, right? So same tool, same AI model, different results. Why? Like for example here, make a donation now, right? So this is like how our brain also, because if there's a text box and it's kind of really small, it's not like a Google document where you actually start thinking, right? Because and mostly like you think about your idea and stuff is when you're not with the computer, when you're away from it, you're thinking about this idea that, hey, I'm going to build this. You haven't fully thought about it, but you're like, I will build this great product and then blah, blah, blah. And then you just keep part of thinking and you're like, I'm going to be so great at the end. It's going to be so successful and then all of that. And then there's no detailed context even in your brain, right? So imagine now you get a text box and say, okay, what do you want to build today? Of course you're going to make a donation app, right? Because it's like, I'm not going to do the work, right? Like, I want AI to do the work for me, so let me just say I need a donation app and I want you to figure out the rest. And I think that's what differentiates a bad one, like from a good one, because you have to do the work in order to get a good result. There's no way around it because your taste and all of those details comes from it, right? So this is again very generic. But imagine if you can extend it, like a blood donation app for multivariants. Users can register as donors with blood types and locations, and patients post urgent requests, push notification alerts, nearby matching donors. Think of it like Uber for blood donation, fast, local, and life-saving, right? So it's kind of like you're thinking about a lot of details in here. Let me try to see if I can kind of go deeper. It's like you've touched on who this is for, a blood donation for multivariants, and then what problem does it serve? Registered donors with patients to post urgent requests for blood donation, and then also how, push notification alerts and nearby matching donors, and then how should it be? Think of it like Uber for blood donation, right? And this is more of like constraints, so things like it needs to be fast, local, and web safe. Right? So kind of like, and I'm pretty sure like you thought about this with like the PRD session with Harris. In fact, because I said like, like I said, we're gonna work together on this. So I am going to copy this and I am going to do, this is my CGPD, I'm going to write it here. And then remember like, I think Harris, wait, now find mine, Finder. Let me see if I have Harris, the PRD that he actually worked on. Yeah, hold on. Let me try to get this while screen is here. Okay, try to get a normal one. Give me a PRD for this design or the above. We'll come back to this. So I'll just keep this here. And sort of, so that's again, the context here, that what we mean by, and this goes to not just an app that you're building, but also, hey, so let's build on this context, right? I will go and create a new one and just paste it here, and then I'm going to say, I'm using, and here's a fun thing that you can use. This is something called Whisperflow. And you can actually go to your, here, it's an app that you can install, but you can actually talk to your ChatGPT or any app that you're actually working on, right? So, hey, so I'm trying to build this app, and can you ask me follow-up questions one by one so we can create a really good PRD for this? So here in order to build the context, and sometimes when we try to get this context, we are like, ChatGPT gave us a huge list of questions and answers, and I'm like, I don't have all night, like for me to go and answer the entire thing, and just some questions are repetitive. If I answer one question, the other question might be even irrelevant, but we don't really care because it gave me a full one. So I think the goal here is one by one. And here, good thing is, if you have the voice mode or anything on the way, taking a walk or something, you can actually do this, right? So who is it, like who is the primarily, like for it launch, right? So I can just say general public. And this also goes to building, because even in Cloud Code has a plain mode, and there's an interview sort of a mode that you can actually trigger, which actually asks you about 70 questions before it writes that PRD or at least the specification down. That means this is how you actually learn a lot about that project, right? So should I use a phone number, OTP, and upload a doctor's note? Should it be hybrid? Like you get to learn a lot about this process of kind of building, right? Like I said, you don't know what you don't know until you kind of go into that part of things, right? So think of it as so again, now when you come into context, think of it as a brilliant intern who just arrived, right? Like they're really good at doing things, but they're capable, but they know nothing about what you're thinking to build and about your project, your business, or any of that, right? So that's sort of like what the context differs. Again, here's the intern, there's no company knowledge or any of that. So I think this year, like even end of last year, like everybody's realizing that, hey, AI is getting great, but not the model, like they're getting better and better, but not significantly useful for you because what is missing is the context input, So there's a lot of tools that's coming out to kind of like help you build your context around bringing the files that you have. GGPD and others, it's a little bit harder the way that initially like bring that. But after a file, after a long conversation, you know, like it's gonna kill it, right? So so this is what's happening. I would say like end of last year and this year is more about context and the data that you hold. And now for the first time, it feels like it's becoming valuable. And what I mean by that is, let's say before when you ask something. There were times that AI says, hey, my knowledge has been cut off since 2022 December or 2023 because it's relying only from memory. And now, if you ask some things, how are you going to go and search for those contexts from the most updated, including the search queries at 2025, 2026 added to the queries, right? So that's sort of the context side of things. Any questions so far? We'll take like about 2 or 3 minutes as we kind of like think about, and maybe we'll just do a little bit of Q&A. The next part is fun, so but I just want to make sure that we got the basics covered.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Any questions?
All right, I'm gonna bring the camera. I mean, like a mic over.
Yes.
Thank you. Nato.
Yeah.
Sualaki.
Hey,
hello.
Long time.
Biar PRD develop kurarti gunendo ganaka 70 questions ahane.
Yeah.
Eti develop kurma form misal ka komasar ka requirements sa badla dengai. Hemme jatina da.
So, I can even show you a little bit later, but aslu here because spec badal koram again 70 question. No, and ask a question kura erugabas you will ask you things and you're like, hey, maybe that was right, that was wrong. It million specification pilak. No, and so you can always go and say, hey, previously no the update maybe on a footnote update and previously it was this say, but now the new feature is like it needs to be changed. No, so the interesting part about this interview and the spec is spec palagi milliani. Then ituru AI adi formani spec kriya implement koriyati spec dimave to bala. Like there's a second AI just checking to make sure that whatever was built based on the specification, if the requirements are met or not. So you can always bring these updates. The good thing is if you can keep the color on it, the first version that you did, so that AI also knows the history of that. Hey, this is how initially you came with it, and maybe like for those who actually work on cloud code, they know that the new change is also a claim, and they will give you like, hey, if you're going to go to this route, probably it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. I know, right? That's what AI says. I don't know like how AI always measures in human hours than the AI hours, but you can always change things. Like we think of context as a way for you to know these contexts and that to be on the document so that you are very aligned with what the AI sees.
Yeah.
And this can change all the time. So yeah, it's okay.
Alright, cool. That answers the question? Okay. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, seems like no. Right, we can continue, I guess.
Okay, wow, that 5 minutes went pretty fast. Okay, so hold on. Let me. Okay, so I realized that there's just one more part, right? Like, and I think this is the most interesting question that comes in when we talk about AI is if AI is going to take over the job or starts building applications and softwares, then what happens next and what do we actually bring to the table? So in a world where everyone can build, not just like AIs, then what you build and how it feels matters more than ever. And this is what we mean by taste, right? It won't be like how you would do it, but somebody went and built it the way that they've done it. So for the first time, I think the building is not the bottleneck here. If anybody can build anything, then yes, there will be so many stuff that are being built, and what differs from the same blood donation affair versus yours probably is the taste, how it feels, design. I think that becomes way more important